On the brink of her dream wedding, she discovered hidden betrayal that changed her life forever. Emma was buzzing with excitement as she flipped the sign from closed to open on the quaint diner door. The warm aroma of pancakes filled the air, and a glow of morning sunshine spilled through the windows. Today was a pivotal day. Her wedding to Jake was just weeks away, and she could almost hear the wedding bells ringing. As she wiped down tables and greeted the regulars, her heart raced with dreams of white lace and happy tears. The whole town buzzed with anticipation, showering her with support. Mrs. Thompson knew the best baker, and Mr. Parker promised the prettiest flowers. It felt like the entire neighborhood believed in her dreams. But amidst the cheer, Emma carried a heavy load. Her single mother struggled, and Emma made sure to be the anchor that steadied their small boat. Each dollar she earned at the diner went straight to groceries and bills. Every hour was spent juggling work and care. And yet, the thought of marrying Jake gave her strength. She pictured him waiting at the altar, love shining in his eyes. One evening, while organizing her wedding notes at the diner, the door swung open, and in walked an unexpected visitor, her estranged sister, Sarah. The air grew thick with tension. Emma had forgotten what it felt like to see her, yet past hurts rushed back like an old movie reel. Sarah had left years ago, abandoning her family as if they were just weights dragging her down. Emma's heart raced. Was she back to reconcile or to wreak more havoc? "Is there somewhere we can talk?" Sarah asked softly, an edge of desperation in her voice. Emma's chest tightened. The wedding plans swirled in her mind like confetti thrown in the air. Just as she thought her dream was about to come true, here was Sarah, ripping at the seams of her fairy tale. A sudden pit formed in Emma's stomach when she discovered that Jake had secrets tied to Sarah. It started as whispers, pieces of conversations that suddenly fit the larger puzzle of her life. "You didn't tell her?" The words sliced through Emma's illusions. Confronting Jake revealed truths that shattered her heart. A betrayal entangled with family ties, hidden agendas clashing with love. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Caught between loyalty to her mother and the raw emotion that came with Jake's betrayal, Emma felt torn. Should she forgive Sarah and explore the family ties that had been severed for so long? Could she move past Jake's deceit after so many shared dreams? The clock ticked ominously toward her once-ideal wedding, disguised now under shadows of anger and hurt. As afternoon light streamed through the diner windows, illuminating the dust in the air, Emma stood at an emotional crossroads. Forgiveness or heartbreak? Love or loyalty? The resilience she once clung to faded under the weight of revelation. Just as hope glimmered at the edges, an unexpected confrontation awaited, one that would twist her identity and reshape her future. Would she finally step into the light of her own truth? The answers churned in her heart, leaving her breathless and wondering what choices would define her life from here on. Emma stood behind the diner counter, her fingers trembling as she wiped down the surface for the 100th time. No amount of elbow grease could banish the tension swirling in her chest. Mrs. Thompson was seated at her usual booth, sipping coffee with a watchful eye. Emma could feel the weight of her gaze, filled with concern. "Are you all right, dear?" Mrs. Thompson asked, her tone gentle yet probing. "Yeah, just thinking," Emma replied, forcing a smile that felt more like a mask. If only she could untangle her thoughts as easily. Sarah's unexpected arrival had shaken her foundation, and Jake's secret loomed over her like a storm cloud. Her life was a series of delicate threads, and just one tug could unravel everything. A regular customer, Mr. Lewis, walked in, jauntily tapping the hat atop his head. "Morning, Emma. 2 pancakes and the usual side of bacon?" His cheerfulness felt like a slap. She nodded, mechanically taking his order while her mind wrestled with conflicting emotions. Should I be worried? Mr. Lewis's laughter faded. You look like you've seen a ghost. No ghosts here, just busy thoughts, Emma replied, not wanting to reveal the chaos within. As Emma flipped pancakes, her mind wandered to Jake. What had happened to the plans they had spun together? The laughter, the late-night talks filled with dreams of their future, it all seemed like a different lifetime. She remembered how bright his eyes sparkled with anticipation for their wedding, how they were supposed to create memories in a cozy home filled with love. Now, every promise felt like shattered glass underfoot. After the breakfast rush, Emma took a moment to sit in the back, letting out a shaky breath. It felt suffocating to be on this precipice of doubt and fear. Her phone buzzed, breaking the silence. It was a text from Jake. Can we talk? I miss you. The words sent a pang through her heart, a reminder of past affection now clouded by betrayal. Taking a deep breath, she typed back, not now. I need space. Each letter was a tiny rebellion against the gravity that pulled her toward him. When she returned to the front, Sarah sat in a booth, fingers tracing patterns on the table, a picture of uncertainty. Emma's heart raced. How could she trust her sister after everything? A tidal wave of emotions crashed over her as she approached. Why now, Sarah? Emma demanded, her voice barely above a whisper. You left. We needed you and you just vanished. Sarah looked up, eyes glistening. I know. I messed up, but I'm here to make amends. The sincerity in her voice was almost tangible, but Emma hesitated, her heart torn in two. Make amends? After everything? Emma's voice trembled, anger mixing with disbelief. You don't get to waltz back into my life and act like nothing happened. I need to explain. About Jake, it's complicated, Sarah said tentatively, each word weighted with hesitation. A rage surged within Emma at the mere mention of Jake, simmering just below the surface. What do you mean? What could possibly be complicated? The diner felt suddenly smaller, the air thick and suffocating. Emma's world had already been flipped upside down, and now it threatened to shatter even further. She could feel the fragile resolve she'd been holding on to begin to crumble. Would she dare to uncover the truth? And at what cost? As Sarah opened her mouth to speak, the bell above the door jingled again, drawing Emma's attention. The door swung open, revealing a figure Emma never expected to see, the last person she wanted to face just moments before a revelation that could change everything. Emma! Jake called out, panic in his eyes. Time froze, and in that heartbeat, her heart raced wildly with confusion and fear. What would he reveal? What would happen next? Emma felt her heart leap into her throat as Jake stepped inside, his familiar presence sending a jolt of conflicting emotions through her. He juggled worry and urgency, the door swinging shut behind him as if it closed off her past, a past now tainted with uncertainty and pain. Emma, he repeated, voice strained, each syllable pulling her deeper into a whirlpool of memories and regrets. She stilled, wrapped in the remnants of shared laughter and whispered promises. How could everything they'd built feel so fragile now? Jake, she managed, her voice barely emerging above the murmur of the diner. She felt Sarah's eyes on her, the tension palpable between them as they stood on the brink of an emotional cliff. What if she could see the truth in his expression? What if he brought more chaos? Can we talk? His gaze shifted between her and Sarah, the unease in the air thick enough to cut. With every muscle in her body shouting to either run or scream, Emma crushed the urge to step back. Instead, she took a deep breath. Right now? She asked, voice sharp enough to slice through the tension. You don't understand. I don't need to listen to you, Emma blurted, surprising herself. The words tasted bitter, coming from a place that was both wounded and defiant. You lost that right. You know what I need? Answers. At the booth, Sarah had gone quiet, her face pale. Watching the exchange unfold stirred feelings deep inside Emma: betrayal, anger, and a strange longing for the Jake who had existed before secrets began to corrode their relationship. Please, just let me explain, Jake pleaded, stepping closer, desperation etched in his features. I didn't know how to enough. Emma's voice rose above the diner chatter, causing heads to turn. Silence followed, the patrons sipping their coffee with bated breath. She didn't care. Jake's voice softened, but she could hear the uncertainty mixed with regret. He looked like he was losing his grip on something vital, and that only fueled her fire. What did you do, Jake? She pressed on, her heart pounding in rhythm with the ticking clock on the wall, a reminder that time was slipping away from her grasp. He faltered for a moment, eyes just barely meeting hers. I was scared. I thought you'd be better off without knowing. But I was wrong. What do you mean? Her voice trembled as she stood at the edge of a truth that felt like a chasm. It's about Sarah, he uttered, and the world around them faded. The noise of forks clinking and low conversations blurred into a background hum, and her heart raced. What? You think I'm going to believe anything you say now? The words tumbled out, turbulent and hurt. Emma, please, just listen. Jake's eyes locked onto hers, imploring and vulnerable. I didn't want to hurt you. I still haven't told you everything. The weight of the moment crashed down on her. Could she really trust him with another piece of her heart? Then tell me, Emma whispered, her resolve wavering, but the curiosity clawing at her insides wouldn't let her turn away. Jake opened his mouth, hesitating for just a heartbeat before his words spilled out. It's about the night she left. I know what happened, and it's not what you think. There are things you don't know. Emma's chest constricted. The sudden urgency in his tone flared a tiny flame of hope amid the surrounding darkness. What lay ahead could redefine everything or bring even more heartache. Before she could process his words fully, a thought lodged itself silently in her mind. What if the truth wasn't a resolution, but the beginning of an even deeper conflict? Emma, Sarah interjected softly, her earlier bravado evaporated. You have to hear him. The air crackled with tension. What was Jake hiding? With every second ticking away, Emma realized this could change everything: her past, her present, her future. What did you do? She whispered, the question chilling her to the bone. But Jake's expression only deepened her dread. As she awaited his answer, the diner felt miles away, and the stakes had never been higher. In that moment, Emma understood that life could pivot on a single word, and she was about to learn the impossible truth. The silence stretched, thick and suffocating. Emma could feel every heartbeat, the noise inside the diner fading completely, as if time itself had stopped. Jake took a deep breath, and for a brief moment, she saw him as he used to be: strong, confident, the man she thought knew her better than anyone. Emma, he finally said, his voice a mere whisper. On the night of the accident, Sarah wasn't just caught up in something dangerous. She was running from me. The words hit Emma like a punch to the gut, unraveling everything she thought she understood. Running from you? Why would she do that? Each word came out harsher than she intended, but she couldn't help it. The anger surged, peppered with confusion. Because I pushed her away, Jake admitted, his eyes glistening with vulnerability. I didn't think it was serious. I thought she'd come back. But what? Emma's insides churned, the sense of betrayal gnawing at her like a relentless shadow. She never imagined this could be a part of Jake's story. Never thought she would be caught in the crossfire of his past missteps. She overheard something, a conversation I had with someone close to me. Someone I thought I could trust. They warned me about Sarah. About how she was getting too deep into things she didn't understand. Who told you this? Emma's voice pitched higher, digging for specifics that could somehow mend the fractures in her heart. It doesn't matter now, it does matter, she shouted, the anger spilling over. Emma could feel the eyes of the diner again, heavy scrutiny pressing on her. Her cheeks flushed with a mix of humiliation and rage. Emma, please, just let me finish. With a tremor of resignation, she took a shaky breath, the look on Jake's face softening just a notch, commitment burning in his eyes. That night, I told her to stay away from things that were dangerous. I thought I was protecting her, but all I did was push her into the shadows. A deep silence settled over them as she tried to comprehend his words. So, you're saying that you think you're to blame for her leaving? For what happened? It was a murmur, almost lost in the din of the diner, but it felt monumental to Emma. I know I am, Jake replied, fierce sincerity painting every syllable. I tried to shield her from the truth, thinking it was for the best. I didn't realize how dangerous ignorance could be. Emma's heart pounded. She wanted to scream, to cry, to tell him how he was breaking her just by speaking. But why didn't you tell me this earlier? Why wait until now? Do you think I can just accept it? Because I didn't know how, Jake confessed, each word filled with regret. I was too afraid of what it would do to you. I waited too long hoping it would just go away. But it didn't. With every minute that passed, the weight of his admissions grew heavier. Should she believe him? Was Sarah really a victim in all this? Sarah shifted in her seat, finally breaking her silence. Emma, Jake hasn't been honest with me either. There are things I've kept hidden, too. Things I never thought would come back to bite us. Emma felt her breath hitch. A new wave of desperation washed over her. What other secrets were buried here, waiting to surface? What else is there? She whispered, her voice barely audible over the clamoring chatter of the diner. Things you deserve to know, Sarah replied, her voice steady but shaken. Things we all need to confront if we want to find any closure. Just when Emma thought she was beginning to grasp the extent of the turmoil surrounding her, the ground shifted again beneath her feet. She was balancing on a tightrope of truth and betrayal, and looking down, she felt the distance from safety growing. As Jake's gaze locked onto her, tears shimmering in his eyes, she realized that there might be one more shocking revelation waiting in the wings. Suddenly, a cold chill ran down her spine. Was this just the beginning of an emotional landslide? She could feel the darkness creeping in. What more was there to uncover? Emma's breath came quick and shallow. They all stood on the edge of something far more terrifying than she ever expected, ready to unravel. Just tell me the truth, before it's too late, Emma urged, the desperation thick in her voice. What could open next in this tangled web of lies and loyalty? Would the truth set them free, or tear them apart for good? Emma felt the weight of Sarah's words pressing down on her like an anchor pulling her beneath the surface. Her fingers gripped the table, a lifeline in this storm of revelations. The diner seemed to fade away, the clinking of cutlery and murmurs of patrons swirling into a dull hum, overshadowed by the chaos brewing in her mind. Tell me what you're hiding, Sarah, she demanded, her voice steadying despite the tempest inside her. If it's about Jake or the accident, just say it. Sarah hesitated, her eyes darting to Jake, who was leaning forward, clearly torn. It's not easy for any of us, he murmured, a fresh wave of regret washing across his features. Emma locked her gaze on Sarah, willing her to continue. We have to be honest with each other. If we can't be, then what is the point? The challenge hung in the air between them. Okay. Sarah took a deep breath, her composure faltering. When Jake pushed me away, I didn't just run. I got involved with things I shouldn't have. There was someone else. The revelation struck like lightning. Emma felt every neuron in her brain fire off in confusion and anger. What do you mean someone else? You were with Jake. Sarah shook her head. But after the accident, I thought maybe I could, I don't know, find something that wasn't tied to that night. I fell into a dark place and met someone who understood my pain. Who? Emma pressed, her voice cracking. Jake shot a warning glance at Sarah. You don't have to know. Sarah cut him off, her eyes pleading with Emma. You deserve to know the truth. Her hands trembled as she continued. It was someone involved with the darker side of the things I was caught up in. At first, I thought I was just helping out. But then what? Emma leaned in, desperate for clarity amid the chaos. Sarah swallowed hard. They were dangerous, players in a world I thought I could handle. After the accident, I started getting threats. They told me to stay quiet about what I'd seen. Emma felt the air leave her lungs. Threats? You never told me that. You put yourself in danger while I was dealing with everything else. And you didn't think I should know? I was scared. Emma, I thought if I told you it would endanger you too. Tears welled in Sarah's eyes, her face a mask of regret. How could you think that? How could you do this, Sarah? The betrayal cut deeper than she could imagined. Jake reached out for Emma, his hand brushing against hers. "You don't have to blame Sarah," he told her softly. "I'm the one who made the mistakes that led us here. You deserve to hear everything." "Everything?" Emma echoed, the word heavy with meaning. "What else is there, Jake? What else should I know that could shatter what's already left of my heart?" Jake faltered, searching for the right words, his expression pained. "You both keep saying that secrets have to come out," she snapped. "Fine. Let us finish this. What else is there?" Just as Sarah opened her mouth to respond, the diner door creaked open. A chill swept in, sending an involuntary shiver down Emma's spine. A figure stood in the doorway, silhouetted against the bright neon lights outside. Whoever it was, they came in with an aura of unease that made Emma's heart race. "What now?" Sarah whispered, glancing nervously at Jake. Emma's stomach dropped as the figure stepped forward, eyes locking onto her, a knowing smile spreading across their face. In that moment, she felt everything shift again, as if the ground beneath them had just been removed. Secrets still waited to emerge, but now, they were no longer the only ones at this table. "Emma," the figure said, their voice smooth and laced with familiarity. "We need to talk about Sarah, and what really happened that night." At that instant, Emma realized they were teetering on the brink of something far darker than she ever imagined. Emma's heart raced as she studied the figure that loomed in the doorway. The diner had never felt so small, the air thick with tension. She could feel Jake's eyes on her, his urgency palpable, but her focus remained fixed on this stranger who seemed to unravel the very foundations of her world. "Who are you?" Emma managed to ask, her voice barely more than a whisper. The figure stepped fully into the light, revealing a face she recognized from the edges of her memories, a face she had hoped to forget. "Ethan," the figure replied, taking a step closer, his voice dripping with a mix of reassurance and menace. "We haven't met in a while, but don't you remember?" She did. Ethan had once been a friend, someone she shared laughter and secrets with, before everything spiraled out of control, before the accident, before betrayal painted her world in shades of gray. "Why are you here?" Sarah's voice trembled beside her, clearly unsettled by Ethan's presence. "Because it's time you all understood the consequences of what happened. The night Emma lost everything was not just an accident, it was orchestrated." His smile faded slightly as he glanced at Sarah. "You played your part, too." Emma felt a wave of nausea wash over her. "Orchestrated? What are you talking about?" She shot back, anger boiling beneath her skin. She cast a sideways glance at Jake, who looked equally perplexed. Ethan leaned closer, his demeanor shifting from casual to predatory. "You think you know the truth, but there are layers, things you haven't been told. Things that need to be revealed for this whole mess to be untangled." "Stop talking in riddles," Emma exclaimed, eager to break the suffocating tension. "Just tell me the truth." "What do you mean?" He straightened, taking a deep breath as if he was steeling himself for what lay ahead. "The accident didn't just happen. There were people involved, and they have a way of making things disappear. You were too close to the truth, Sarah. Too close to what you saw that night." Fear fluttered in Emma's stomach. She turned to Sarah, who looked pale, the color draining from her cheeks. "What did you see?" Emma demanded, desperation creeping into her voice. Sarah's eyes glistened with unshed tears. "I didn't see the whole thing. I just started to piece things together afterward. And when the threats began." Ethan smirked, cutting her off. "It's always about the bigger picture, I senti it. Each of you had something that could unravel the narratives we live by. But if you really want the truth, then be prepared for the darkness it may bring." "What darkness?" Emma probed, barely able to take a breath. The diner felt like it was spinning around her, the faces of familiar patrons morphing into blurred shadows as she tried to grasp the magnitude of Ethan's words. A flicker of something akin to fear flashed across Ethan's otherwise confident expression. "I'm not sure you understand the danger of what you're asking. The truth you think you want to know could bring even more pain." Emma's heart pounded in her chest. She felt an urge to flee, to escape this uncanny situation, but something deeper held her captive, anchoring her to that very table. You've got to tell me, she insisted. I can't go on with half-truths. Not anymore. Ethan smirked, but there was a hint of something serious in his gaze. Very well. Let us just say that the night of the accident was a culmination of much larger forces at play. Sarah wasn't the only one involved, and if you ever want peace again, you'll need to face those who are still lurking in the shadows. Before Emma could process this new weight, he turned to leave, his parting words hanging heavily in the air. You'll find me when you're ready to hear everything. But remember, knowledge has its price. As the door swung shut behind him, silence enveloped the table. Emma felt cold, reality crashing over her like icy waves. Shadows from the past were no longer whispers. They were demands now, and they wouldn't be ignored. Emma, we need to figure this out, Jake said. His voice steady though deep concern lined his features. She glanced back at Sarah, who was lost in thought, her expression a mix of regret and fear. Emma's mind raced, twisting with the implications of what they faced, each ticking second growing heavier with unanswered questions. Yet one question beat louder than them all. How far was Emma willing to go to uncover the truth? Emma's fingers trembled as they traced the rim of her coffee cup, the heat offering a false sense of comfort against the chill that settled in her bones. I can't believe he just left like that, she murmured, half to herself, her eyes darting between Jake and Sarah. Her heartbeat echoed in her ears, each thud a reminder of how precarious their situation was. Ethan knows something, Jake said decisively, leaning forward. His presence was solid and grounding, a lifebuoy in turbulent waters. We have to find out what. There must be evidence. Something concrete. Emma shook her head, frustration bubbling up. But where do we even start? Everything feels intertwined. There's no straight path to follow. Sarah blinked rapidly, her expression still dazed. I'm so sorry, Emma. I never meant for this to come back. I thought it was over. Her voice cracked, guilt heavy on her chest. Over? Emma's voice rose, sharp with urgency. Nothing is over. This is just the beginning. The weight of their reality pressed down upon them. The truth was lurking just beyond the veil, ready to claw its way into the open. But Emma felt reluctant to peel away that layer. Tension shifted the air, mixing lingering unease with the heady sense of coffee and bacon grease, an almost grotesque contrast to the emotional chaos stirring within her. What if we went to his house? Jake suggested, his resolve transforming into action as he pushed his chair back, the screech breaking the thick silence. Maybe we can find something. Anything that leads us to the truth. Emma stared at him, disbelief washing over her. You think he just keeps documents lying around? What if he's already moved on? What if he knows we're looking for him? Then we'll be careful, he replied, his eyes narrowing with determination. But we can't let fear dictate our every move. We owe it to ourselves to at least try. What if they find out? Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. There are people involved, and then we'll deal with that when it comes, Jake shot back. Emma, you deserve to know what really happened that night. We all do. Gripping the table, Emma inhaled deeply as her mind oscillated between apprehension and resolve. A ghost of trauma hovered above them, unanswered questions, unspoken fears. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about Sarah and Jake too. They were intertwined in this messy web, and somewhere out there Ethan had the key. Let us do it, Emma finally said, her voice steadied by fierce determination. Let us confront the truth, whatever it may be. Jake nodded, a spark igniting in his eyes. Grab your things. We'll head there now. The diner felt suffocating as they stepped out into the crisp evening air, the shadows elongating in front of them. Emma's heart raced, a clamor of anticipation and fear. Every turn felt like stepping deeper into the unknown. As they approached Ethan's place, she couldn't shake the nagging feeling that perhaps this was a journey that would lead them not just to answers, but to the festering insecurities and hidden alliances that had shaped their relationships. And just as they reached the front stoop, readying themselves for the confrontation, Emma's phone buzzed violently in her pocket. She pulled it out, breath catching in her throat as she stared at the screen. It was a message from an unknown number. The truth is more dangerous than you think. Stop now or face the consequences. A shiver raced down her spine, the threat in those words echoing within her as she clutched the phone tightly. The stakes were higher than she had anticipated, and the shadows were closing in fast. "What now?" Sarah asked, her voice barely above a whisper, anxiety lacing her tone. Emma's mind swirled with doubts, but one thought blazed like a beacon. Could they afford to turn back now? The truth hovered just out of reach, but what would it cost to grasp it? Emma's hands shook as she processed the warning on her phone. The screen flickered in the dim light, the message pulsing like a heartbeat, each word weighing heavy in the air. She could feel the weight of her friends close by, the thrum of anxiety thickening the atmosphere, yet an almost reckless confidence surged within her. Are we really going to just ignore that? Sarah's voice was breathy, laced with panic, her eyes wide. What if it's someone dangerous? It doesn't matter, Emma replied, fighting to keep her voice steady. I can't walk away now. I won tea. Jake stepped closer, his gaze intense. We have to be smart about this. Let us stick together. If Ethan has something to hide, we'll find it. We can do this. Sarah seemed torn, glancing between them. But if that message is real, what happens if we dig too deep? Emma felt the familiar ache of indecision gnawing at her. I know it's risky, but what's worse? Not knowing and living in fear, or uncovering the truth? I can't go back to pretending everything is fine. With a resigned nod, Jake stepped towards the door. Let us do this. Together. The door creaked ominously as they entered, the faint scent of stale air filling their lungs. The house stood dark and still, an eerie reminder of the secrets wrapped up inside. Emma's heart pounded in her chest, a loud drumbeat guiding her deeper into the shadows. As they moved through the living space, the quiet felt oppressive. Dust danced in the beams of fading light, and Emma could hardly suppress the rising tide of dread. Where do we even look? She whispered. Let us check the office first, Jake suggested, leading the way. As they reached the door, Emma's breath hitched, her instincts warning her to turn back. But the thought of the looming truth pushed her forward. The office was cluttered, papers strewn across the desk, a chaotic jumble. Yet something felt strangely off. Help me look through this, Jake said, already rifling through a stack of documents. Emma knelt down, flipping through pages. Most were mundane bills and old receipts, but then she noticed a thick binder stuffed beneath a stack of magazines. Heart racing, she tugged it out and opened it. What is it? Sarah leaned in closer, the tension practically humming in the air. Inside were photographs, Ethan laughing with friends, casual moments that seemed innocent enough at first. But then, a particular image caught Emma's eye. The grainy shot of a face in the background sent a bolt of recognition through her. It was someone she never expected to see linked to Ethan. No way, she breathed, her mind racing as she recalled a conversation she'd overheard long ago. Why was this person involved? What? Jake asked, glancing up. This picture, it's linked to everything, Emma replied, flipping through more pages, each one revealing connections she hadn't considered before. There's a whole network here. We need to know what he is hiding, Sarah whispered, her resolve building. Everything is connected. Just then, Emma's phone buzzed again. A new message, this one sent from the same unknown number, read, "You're digging in the wrong place. Now it's personal." Emma froze as dread unfurled deep within her, but so did a flicker of determination. We have to keep going. We're on the brink of something huge. Jake nodded, eyes fierce. Whatever it takes, we're in this together. As the weight of their discoveries sank in, Emma felt the darkness shifting around her, its grip tightening. With every step toward the truth, they were inching closer to something monumental. But would that truth be the salvation they hoped for, or something far more sinister? The atmosphere buzzed with unresolved fears, and as they huddled together over the binder, Emma realized the real question loomed larger than ever. Could they handle whatever was waiting on the other side of the truth? Emma's heart raced as she stared at the binder, the photos blurring together in a storm of worry and adrenaline. She felt the weight of their discovery settling over her like a thick fog, the room closing in, full of shadows that felt almost alive. What do we do now? Sarah's voice trembled, barely breaking through the tension. Jake glanced around the office, his expression earnest. We need to figure out how this connects to Ethan. If there's a network, there's bound to be a way to track it down. He pointed to a string of names and numbers hand-scrawled on a notepad by Ethan's desk. Emma leaned closer, heart pounding in rhythm with the throb in her ears. Was it really as simple as that? Where do these lead? Emma murmured, tracing her finger over the names. Each one felt like a puzzle piece, waiting to unveil the bigger picture. With a deep breath, she said, "Let us split up. Sarah, you search the desk and see if there are any contacts or other clues. Jake, stay with me. We need to dig deeper into these. There's something vital here." "Be careful," Sarah's voice trailed off as they moved further away. Emma pressed on, adrenaline coursing through her veins, each step as heavy as the decisions weighing on her. As they combed through the papers, something caught Emma's eye. Tucked inside a small folder was a yellowed envelope. She ripped it open, her breath caught in her throat. Inside lay a series of documents, escrow papers for a property that didn't seem to belong to Ethan. The address was unfamiliar, and the dates were recent. Confusion and anger surged through her. Why was Ethan involved with this? "Look at this," she said, showing the papers to Jake, whose brow furrowed. "What do you think it means?" "Could be a front," Jake replied, his voice low as if to shield their conversation from unseen ears. "Whoever he's dealing with, maybe that's tied to the people in those photos." Just then, Sarah squeaked from behind them, her tone a mix of shock and fear. "Guys, you need to see this." Emma and Jake exchanged worried glances before following Sarah's voice. She stood with a small, analog camera in her hands, a nervous sheen of sweat breaking out across her forehead. "I found this stuffed in a drawer," she said, her eyes wide, "and look at what it has in it." With shaking hands, she began flipping through the photos. The first images were of the familiar faces, friends at parties, but as they continued, Emma's blood ran cold. There were snapshots of people she didn't recognize, shady figures meeting in dimly lit back alleys. Each frame unfolded a sinister pattern, and Emma felt the world around her begin to tilt. "Oh my God," Sarah whispered, her voice barely above a fluttering breath. "What's going on?" Emma's mind raced as she processed the implications. Ethan's in way deeper than we thought. The realization hit her hard. He could be in serious trouble or worse. We have to get to him before it's too late. Suddenly, a loud crash echoed from the other room, jolting them from their frozen state. The sound of something heavy hitting the ground sent chills down Emma's spine. "What was that?" she whispered urgently. Jake took a step toward the door, eyes wide with fear. "We should check it out. Could be him or someone else." As they crept closer to the door, Emma's heart dropped at the thought of confronting whatever lay ahead. The question that loomed larger than their fear was no longer about the truth. It was, would they be prepared for what they might find? Emma's hand trembled as she pushed the door open just a crack. The darkness beyond promised answers and surprises. But the shadows also threatened to swallow them whole. With every heartbeat, she wondered, would they be ready for the reality waiting just beyond the threshold? The next moment felt like forever. Emma felt her heart pound in her chest, watching Jake push the door open wider as they both leaned in, straining to catch any sound from the shadowy room beyond. The air hung heavy with anticipation, thick as the fog rolling in from the bay outside. "Hello?" Jake called hesitantly, his voice echoing back at them, swallowed by the silence. A quick glance at Sarah revealed her eyes wide, fear swirling behind them like a storm. Emma's own stomach twisted with uncertainty. Whatever waited for them in that room could change everything. They eased forward, each step slow and measured, feeling like they were intruding on a sacred secret. As they crossed the threshold, the gleam of the moonlight seeped through a gap in the curtains, illuminating the wasteland of what was once Ethan's sanctuary. Papers were strewn everywhere, and in the center of it all stood Ethan. He was hunched over a desk, hastily shoving belongings into his bag, panic etched across his features. "What are you doing?" Emma blurted, piercing through the silence like a shard of ice. Ethan jumped, whirling around to face them. His eyes caught the moonlight. They were dark and dangerous but filled with an urgency that made Emma's skin crawl. "You can't be here," he exclaimed, his voice rising. "You have to leave now." "What's going on?" Jake pressed, stepping in closer. "What's happening?" Ethan glanced at the door, assessing their options with quick, darting movements. "It's more dangerous than I imagined. The people I was involved with, they won't hesitate to come after you." Emma felt a mixture of anger and fear. "You need to tell us everything, Ethan. No more lies. We're done playing games. We don't have time for this," he shot back, his face twisted in frustration. "You don't understand." "Then explain it," Sarah chimed in, stepping toward him with boldness she hadn't shown earlier. "You brought this upon us. Just tell us what we need to know." Ethan breathed heavily, sweeping a hand through his tousled hair. "The accident wasn't just an accident, it was part of something much bigger. Something I thought I was in control of, but it spiraled out of hand. I thought I could keep you safe. And now?" Emma's voice was tight. "Now do you think you're protecting us? I didn't know how deep it went until it was too late. If you're involved now, if they see that I've been followed, you'll all become targets." Fear crept back in, pooling in the pit of her stomach. "What kind of targets?" Ethan hesitated, and in that silence, Emma felt time slip away. "The kind that disappear," he finally muttered. "What do we do?" Jake's voice wavered, the solidity he had moments before faltering under this new pressure. Ethan glanced nervously over his shoulder, brow furrowing as if he could feel the danger approaching. "You need to leave now. Get out of town. Disappear for a while until I can figure this out." "No," Emma stated firmly, shaking her head. "We want the truth. We want to understand why this is happening." "Understanding might get you hurt," Ethan warned, his eyes darting. "These people have connections everywhere. I can't let them hurt you, Emma." She felt the rush of adrenaline deflate into a cold wave of realization. "You're telling me to run and hide, and that's it? After everything? We deserve the truth. We need to confront what happened. Then you're putting us all in danger." Ethan shouted back, his frustration boiling over. "I can't let that happen." The tension knotted tighter until it felt ready to snap. With a fierce surge of resolve, Emma took a step closer. "We face danger together. We're not leaving you to this. You've put us in the middle of it all. We deserve to know what we're really fighting against." "Damn it, Emma," he exclaimed, pain flickering through his eyes. "You don't understand how dangerous this is. I wish I could make you see." Just as Ethan's voice faded, a sudden crashing sound rang out. The front door burst open with a bang, and darkness spilled into the room like a predator ready to pounce. "Time us up," a voice boomed, cold and commanding. Emma turned, heart racing as figures emerged from the shadows, men in dark clothing, faces obscured. Fear surged anew, trembling in waves. They weren't here for questions. They were here to silence any truths left to be spoken. Emma's instincts kicked in. "Run," she yelled, her voice pitched high with panic. She turned back to Ethan, hope burning brightly in her chest. "We'll figure things out later. Just get out with us now." The unexpected rush filled the room as they all bolted toward the back door. Ethan was right behind Emma, the shadows of danger pushing them forward. "We're not alone in this," she shouted, determination coursing through her veins. "This is our fight. We'll weave our paths through the chaos, together." As they burst into the night, the threat behind them loomed ever closer. But in that moment of desperation, Emma realized that together, they could blaze a trail through the darkness. In the uncertainty that awaited, a fire sparked in her spirit, illuminating the path ahead. They would not back down. Truth awaited them around the corner, and Emma was done waiting. The war for their lives and for every secret hidden in the shadows had just begun. With a fierce heartbeat, she felt stronger than ever. "Let us move," she cried, leading the charge into the black night, fear charging into a transformation of unwavering tenacity. Would they brave the storm? There was only one way to find out, and she was ready to confront it all. Now, before your imagination ignites with these exclusive stories, the time to act is now. You need to subscribe immediately to the channel to remain part of this journey, because you won't want to miss what comes next. Leave a like right now to feed the algorithm and keep this amazing content alive. Let me know in the comments how you felt during this wild ride and what your thoughts are on the ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who crave this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Only true fans understand the importance of being part of this community. Let's build this adventure together.